Hey everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower here with myself, and also my TV's not muted, so give me 1 second. Sorry. We're a little late to the game on the knowledge of this hearing, so we are playing catch up a little bit this morning. Hey everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I don't know why I never remember to do that. Anyway, welcome. We are just waiting for this hearing to come online. So this is a hearing for Lori Vallow in Arizona. This is a status conference, basically, for her upcoming trial that's currently scheduled for February of 2025. This is on the conspiracy to commit murder charges. And we just saw yesterday a ruling came out from the court denying the defense's request to keep cameras out of the courtroom. Arizona, rightly so, said that these proceedings are public and that the public has the right to see them, which we know is true. Most definitely know is true, but not everyone, Idaho, takes that as seriously. So that's what we are waiting on right now, is for the hearing live stream to go live. But welcome to the chat, everybody. Let's see who's here. Tina, Just Me, Stella, the Bethy Boop, Warwickery, Dance Fitness Channel, Amy A, and Tina. Did I already say Tina? I did, but that's okay. And Tina. So welcome, you guys. I'm glad you could make it. We threw the notice up in Discord as soon as we realized we were going to be doing this. That's a really good place if you are wanting to stay up on what we're doing, because sometimes things happen last minute, is to join our Discord, because then we can send you, we can @ everybody, and send a notification so you know. If you haven't joined our Discord, go to our website, truecrimesquad.com, and there is a link there that is a join link. Just click on it. Takes you right to your invitation to join our Discord. So that is a great way. Also, if you just hit the bell on TikTok, sorry, still catching up just a little bit. Not on TikTok, but on YouTube. My God. Then you will get notifications also of when we're going live. So we want to make sure y'all know, because sometimes court stuff comes up quickly and we try to just jump in as soon as we see it. Welcome, Michelle, Lion, Amy, different Amy, Alan, Lindsay, Teresa. Nice to have you all here. Got a little extra action on a Friday. So I'm really pleased about the fact that the judge did not kick cameras out of the courtroom. I don't know why they would at this point. Oh, looks like we are starting. So
Jeremy Caulfield representing the defendant.
I'm going to get this on screen for y'all. There we go.
All right.
And I'm going to get out of here so we can keep an eye on this. So here we go. Lori Vallow hearing.
But before we do that, I will instruct the person operating the camera not to zoom in on any documents or the defense table, or for example, Mr. Caulfield's folder that he has in his lap. I don't want any work product to be inadvertently captured by any camera. Thank you.
Yes, Judge.
Go ahead.
Is it okay if I stay here, or would you like me to approach the podium?
No, you can stay there. Just as a basis, I think maybe to tailor your argument, the court Fox 10 News has made a camera request, as far as I can tell, to every hearing that's happened in this case. And at this point, I consider it an ongoing request for the rest of the proceedings. Obviously, that can change down the line. For example, jury selection, that may not be allowed. But so I'm considering their ongoing, it's an ongoing standing request that I'm granting over the defense objection. I did get the objection Mr. Caulfield filed yesterday. I've reviewed that, but go ahead and whatever record you want to make.
Well, Judge, before I do that, a few housekeeping rules that will inform my argument.
Okay.
Are you offering me an argument because that's in compliance with your interpretation of Rule 22, or is it more of a courtesy for me to make a record?
It's for whatever record you want to make.
Okay, so it doesn't have to do with the argument that Rule 122 required it.
Correct. Well, no, 122 requires it, but at this point, I'm considering not each request for each hearing to be a separate request. I'm considering it that I've going forward for every hearing, it's a standing order that the media is allowed into the hearings.
Okay, Judge, and I'll get to that, but just for this particular moment, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like you're giving me the courtesy to make a record, but you don't feel like that's required under Rule 122 in this situation. Is that accurate?
Create whatever record you want.
Okay, that doesn't really answer the question, though.
Go ahead.
So you're not going to answer the question about whether...
I think I've answered the question.
Okay. Judge, can you let me know the date and time the camera request was made? It's referenced in your minute entry, but we don't get an actual date and time. You said you...
I don't have it in front of me, but as I recall, I think it came in, maybe my JA can help me out, but I think it's Tuesday sometime. It came in through the our media request person, who's Mr. Finari, who's seated in the back of the courtroom right now, actually. Do you have that information, Mr. Finari?
Judge, it was Tuesday at around 2:25 or so that we received it.
All right.
Thank you for that. And Judge, another thing that's going to inform my argument and create a complete record is, as we've discussed through briefings, what happened at the last time was the court's team, Microsoft Teams footage was broadcast against the spirit and intent of your directives and order regarding the 8 a.m. hearing.
Correct.
There's still, at least for me, some questions about that. And I would just ask, if we know the answers, we can put them on the record, or ask somebody that might be here to inform us. We need to know who gave that Teams footage to the media, because that's directly related to the violation of your order.
I don't know who gave it to the media.
You don't? Okay. So I imagine the media knows. And I don't know if there's someone here that could perhaps inform the court, but I think that's pretty important. And if this is a violation of a court order that without a doubt continued to damage my client's free trial and due process rights, because as we know, this hearing wasn't supposed to be broadcast in that manner, and the usual comments and articles surrounded that, and that's all prejudicial information. So how that happens is really important, because I need to address that, and if I need to file something further on that, or I don't, I need to know. So I don't know what you want to do, Judge, but I would ask that you ask anyone who's from the media to fill us in on those details. Now, I can file something if I need to. It might just be quicker to do it this way.
You can do any investigation that you think is necessary through any course that's necessary, but I don't know anything about what the media has or doesn't have other than what's in your motion. So I don't have any knowledge of what was broadcast, what wasn't broadcast. All I know is what you made me aware of in your pleadings, which apparently we suspect one of the next of kin or named victims recorded or screen recorded the Teams meeting. What happened after that, I have no idea.
Well, Judge, it's troubling to me that this is a violation of your court order, and it doesn't appear the court wants to explore that any further and is fine with the ambiguity of that violation of the court order. I'm not, because it violates my client's constitutional rights. And I think...
How does it violate your client's constitutional rights?
there was the 8 a.m. recording against your wishes, as you put in your own minute entry.
I don't know that it amounts to a violation of constitutional rights as opposed to a violation of my order about not recording that particular hearing.
Well, the violation of the order directly leads to the violation of the constitutional rights. I don't know how there's not any argument that what
What constitutional right was violated?
Judge, the jury is further tainted by all the information that came out in these articles, in this posting of this video that wasn't supposed to be posted. And I don't think that's, I don't understand how that part's up for debate.
Well, your argument is the jury pool has been tainted, not the jury has been tainted. The remedy for that is doing a robust voir dire examination of all the jurors that come in, and that may take some time because of the media coverage that's happening here. We can't assume every person in Maricopa County has been exposed to the Lori Vallow case.
Well, Judge, that's a straw man. I never assumed or said that.
You just said the jury's been tainted.
The jury pool.
No, you said jury.
That I misspoke, and I'm sorry. The jury pool has been further tainted. Everybody in Maricopa County? No, I'm not saying that. But surely, I think we can agree, people, probably a large amount of people, as we can tell by the, I'll rest on my sealed filing, but views, likes, things like that, have seen this. And they're part of the jury pool.
And that's why we have the voir dire process.
Well, Judge, I think my concern is that's sort of the out for constitutional violations, any concern about the defendant's fair trial rights, is that, well, it can just all be taken care of in jury selection.
Well, I guess, let me ask you this. What remedy would you have me do? I can't tell the media how to report the case. I can't tell people how anything of that matter. So what remedy are you seeking?
Well, Judge, I don't have all the information, so that's why I was kind of asking that question, because it's hard for me to ask for a remedy if I don't know who's fully responsible for this. So I don't know that. So I guess I'm going to have to do my best to figure it out on my own. But there's so many remedies, and that's why we're here every court hearing that the court can take to at least mitigate the damage that we know is going to happen every year. And nothing ever happens. Suggested not recording the hearing or portions of the hearing. You know, Judge, there's things like allowing the defendant, if she wanted to dress in street clothes, which we know she's being forced to come in jail attire if she does want to appear here, which I understand. But since you asked for an example of things the court can do, and that's without banning the press or reporting on the case, I've never said I expect you to tell the press how to report the case. Would never do that. So those are a couple of examples, but there's many more. Rule 122 lists plenty of those examples.
Okay.
Well, and that said, Judge, I mean, I would ask for it to be put on the record who was present on the team's recording, since it's still a bit of a mystery how what happened last time happened. So I think it's important to know who's there. And the court may say, well, the names are listed there, which I can't see right now. But we've all seen videos of people who, whether it be by accident, well, usually it is by accident, but their name does not necessarily reflect who they are. I just think it's important to put on the record who's on the team's recording. So if this should happen again,
I can tell you what names appear right now. Is that what you want?
absolutely.
My name appears, my JA's name appears, my clerk's name appears, my courtroom assistant's name appears, someone named Brandon Bordeaux appears, someone named Kay Woodcock appears, and someone named Susan Vallow appears. That is the extent of the people that are logged in.
Thank you for that. Are you comfortable, Judge, just letting everybody know they're not allowed to record the team's recording and give it to the media?
Well, that was only limited to the recording that we were having a hearing on whether or not media and cameras would be allowed in the courtroom. I didn't make that going forward. I mean, I can make that if you like. I don't know that is that what you were asking?
Well, yes, Judge, considering what happened last time, I'm most definitely asking for that.
Well, that was a hearing that was closed to the media and shouldn't have been recorded.
That's exactly my point.
But this is not the same type of hearing. But if you want me to, I'll tell those people that are online they shall not be video recording or somehow recording the team's feed. Does that satisfy you?
It does, Judge. But you do bring up a good point, and that is this hearing is then a distinction from the 8 a.m. one from last time. Is that fair?
I agree.
Judge, I do want to make clear, we do not have a standing objection to media camera requests. We never have. We have never said that we do. Now, I understand your minute entry said you view that, so I'm not sure you're saying that.
Okay, if you don't, you don't. That's fine.
Well, I want to make it clear on the record because there's a minute entry that seems to imply maybe we have, and we didn't. And what I did was I wanted to make sure that I didn't say something that could have been misinterpreted to make
You
that
didn't.
position.
That was my assumption.
Okay.
Because since you've been on the case, you've objected to every media being present. So my fault for assuming that you would continue to object.
That, Judge, that's another straw man. That is not my point. You're correct in assuming I will object. You're incorrect in assuming that it would be the type of objection where I just do absolutely nothing. You put it in your minute entry, and I show up and we just move along.
No,
Every time I've objected,
That's not what I said. I'm assuming you have an objection. I understand the reasons for your objection could change. More evidence could come forward that you believe is tainting the jury pool could come forward, and you may want to supplement your objection. That's all I was trying to say.
okay, Judge, that is not how it read to me in the minute entry. So I just do want to make clear, every media camera request, we want to be notified, and if we do object, there's going to be a filing, because like you said, and we know in this case, after each hearing, there is new information to consider. Now, you don't have to consider it, but it's my job to at least present it to you and hope you will. And this is a perfect example. What happened with the team's coverage in the last hearing. That's absolutely new and vital information for at least the court to consider. There was a violation of the court's intentions, and a video that wasn't supposed to be posted damaged my client's rights. So I need to be able to file something in detail about that.
I'm not preventing you from filing anything.
I'm just letting you know because my interpretation of the minute entry was well, maybe I'm wrong, but that was sort of the hope that we would just.
No, it wasn't the hope. The understanding was I felt that you would continue to object, and I understand why you would continue to object. You can supplement your objection as you see fit as we go forward.
I understand that, Judge. There's another problem though with minute entry, and we weren't given an opportunity to object under Rule 122. And the court based their ruling on a minute entry on an unrelated motion that the court filed on September 3rd. I assume you know the motion I'm talking about.
The minute entry that sets forth the strong presumption of having the public have access to hearings, yes.
That was in response to a motion I filed that made very clear it was not about Rule 122 and was about the FTR.
I understand what it was about. It was about the FTR.
Okay, well, my problem then, Judge, is if you understood what it was about, it couldn't be the basis for ruling against an objection that never even happened.
You want me to copy and paste the ruling from Wednesday into the ruling to Thursday? I can do that instead of referencing it.
Judge, you didn't even let us have a chance to have you consider anything in this particular hearing. Now you can, and it sounds like you will, but that's prejudging the case. You're not letting.
That's because I'm considering at this point, as I said when we started this hearing, that the media request is an ongoing. I've granted it as an ongoing. They don't even need to request it going forward.
So
Fox 10 News.
So no matter what we file, it's not going to matter. So how it sounds.
I didn't say that. I said you can file and supplement your objection depending on what you object to and what more information comes out. That ruling could change in the future. But at this point, it's a standing ruling that Fox 10 News can have a camera in the proceedings going forward until it changes.
And Judge, you're not at all wanting to explore if Fox 10 had something to do with the violation of your intentions and the spirit of your directives at the last hearing. And you don't want to address that with them at all.
No. And let me clarify that. Whatever someone did with that recording that was a violation of the hearing, however that got disseminated to, once it's disseminated, I can't control that. I can't control who rebroadcasts that, of what media, what whoever.
Because you have a lot of control. You can't control whoever the person was who did that, but the media, who is here every time and is a non-party in this case, you absolutely have some control over. You can. I see you shake your head.
I don't think I do.
I think
It's
you
called
do.
prior restraint. It's called First Amendment rights.
Almost everything in the September 3rd minute entry that supports what you just said also has an exception in it. Rule 9.3b does. Rule 122 is an exception. You absolutely have the power to restrict if you see fit and if you see.
I could restrict the initial recording, or whether or not there's recording in the courtroom. What happens with those recordings after people take them or they've gone out? I absolutely have no power over.
But here's the problem. The media was aware of your court order. They were sitting here in the courtroom. So I'm not saying anything about if one of the alleged victims did that. I'm not talking about that. But the media, they're in a different situation. They're to be aware of your court directives. They're to follow your court orders. And if there's any question about what they're doing could be in violation of that, I would hope they would take a pause and talk to legal counsel. Maybe that happened here, but it would have to have been really, really quick. The thing gets posted right away, and as you said, it's a violation of what you had wanted.
Okay.
All right. And Judge, again, I do think that the next time there's a camera request, everyone needs to be, even the state needs to be given an opportunity to object. Now, they may not, and they haven't, but that could change. So I just hope in the future, for Rule 122 camera requests, the rule is going to be followed, and we're all going to have an opportunity to give our opinion. And then I think a hearing has to be given under the rule. I'll move along unless you had any questions about that. All right, Judge. I don't have much because obviously this is going to be broadcast. So I'm going to rest largely on what I filed under seal for, I think, rather clear reasons. But I do want to talk about a couple things that I just think we are on the same page about. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the case has received an enormous amount of press coverage. It does and will continue to impact my client's fair trial rights. And further camera coverage makes getting an impartial jury obviously more difficult. To me, that sounds like a clear and present danger to the right to a fair trial, which is listed in 9.3b. I understand, Judge, your point is that, well, I agree with all that, but I don't think it's insurmountable. And I think where the rub comes here is your assertion that it's speculative that there's any significant damage that's going to happen when the jury shows up for this trial. Well, I think it's equally speculative in this case that's not insurmountable. You might be right, but it's certainly speculative. This isn't one of those high-profile cases where, and I've had plenty of these, there's a lot of news coverage for a week or two, and then it kind of goes away for 3 years. This isn't that, and I think we all know that. You could say it's speculative when I say after this hearing, because the cameras are broadcasting it, there's going to be tons of other prejudicial information that is submitted to the public. And technically, you'd be right. I guess I don't know that for sure. But we know it's going to happen because we know about the case, and at this point, it's common sense. I also think it's rather clear that to continue with this is going to further damage my client's rights. The thing that's concerning about the case to me is, Judge, I'm not through the discovery. That probably doesn't surprise you. But I'm at a point where I kind of understand the lay of the land with the evidence. And I think I'm getting a pretty good grasp of the basic issues. And what's clear to me in both these cases, there is a viable defense if we have an impartial jury and my client gets a fair trial.
I plan on delivering you an impartial jury, and I plan on your client getting a fair trial.
And I believe that, Judge. I do. But I won't rehash my concerns.
Can you tell me what the nexus is that you find between camera being allowed in the courtroom and not allowed in the courtroom as it relates to media? Do you agree that every hearing, whether there's a camera or not, is going to be talked about in the media on some level?
Judge, I would agree that, and I think that somewhat supports my point actually, that no matter what we do with the cameras, they're going to report about the court hearing anyway. Yeah, absolutely. So why do we need the cameras? Especially for a hearing like this, which other than this argument would be really short and pretty inconsequential. So I don't think that cuts totally one way. And the point is, because of the visual aspect of the camera coverage, and you've seen it in the comments, the ones I've cited to you, and maybe you've clicked on it yourself and you've seen plenty of others.
I haven't clicked on it and I haven't sought out anything in the media about this case. And the only thing I really know in this case really is what you've put in your pleadings.
And that's
I mean,
why-
I will admit, I don't watch news. I look at articles about news on my phone. This case has never come up on my news feed.
it's come up on mine.
Well, probably because you're searching for it on your phone.
True, but when I made that point, it was prior to being assigned this case.
Okay.
Um,
I have heard generally about the case in Idaho, the conviction, the allegations, super generally. I don't know what the specific evidence was in those cases.
Just, I would encourage you, I can make you do anything, but when I do give you the citations with the links, I'm usually giving you a couple of examples.
I'm taking you at your word of whatever you say the link says. I'll take it to be true.
Okay. Would it be helpful if I added more examples, or I just want to make sure the point is we're agreed on that issue?
We're agreed on which issue.
That
This is receiving a lot of media attention and a lot of it's negative.
I would say pretty
Apparently,
much
so.
all of it. But
I don't know.
okay, well, that's.
I mean, I think it would be fair to say it's your job to probably highlight a lot more of the negative stuff. I don't know if there is positive stuff or not. I don't know.
Let me know if you find anything, but
I'm not going to go look.
I will. I'll continue to do what I'm doing. Sorry, Judge, lost my train of thought. So I'll largely rest on the motion. One thing I had to ask, which you've already addressed, is to have the cameras not come near our table because of our work product here and things like that. And hopefully that's been complied with. And so I would ask, Judge, for you to order there not be camera coverage for this particular hearing through the media's cameras under Rule 122.
All right. Thank you. Anything the state wants to say as far as that issue?
Your Honor, I just, only because of any appellate issues on the potential prejudice or bias to the defendant. I just quickly Googled the population of Maricopa County is over 4.5 million. The population of Boise, Idaho, where both Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow each had trials with different and unique jury pools, has a population of 237 under that 1,000. So with 237,000 people in the state that occurred, they were able to get two juries that were unbiased and able to hear those cases with all of the court coverage and with that having occurred in that state as well. And by that I mean the children's homicides were in that state as well as the wife of Chad Daybell. So obviously there will be jurors or potential jurors in the panel who will have heard of this. And that's why we have voir dire, because in any case, there are always going to be potential jurors who have heard about the case through the media. And so that is why we have voir dire, and that is why we will be able to strike those individuals who have heard about the case or who are biased by any anything they may have heard or read about the case or have preconceived ideas about the case. And so when we talk about prejudice to the defendant, I absolutely think right now we are very much putting the cart before the apple. It's too soon to say that there's any prejudice because we aren't even there. We don't have a panel here. If we had a panel here and every single one of them said that somehow, then we'd get another group of them. So I guess I just want to make sure it's very clear that I can understand that we want to be very careful when we do get to the point of jury selection. And I think everyone agrees that we want a fair and impartial jury. But to base that upon media that's out there at this point and already start arguing that the jury that will be hearing this case is prejudiced without having picked that jury and instruct those who are prejudiced seems a little forward before that's even happened. And I guess I'm not sure how we can make that argument at this point. That's something, as I think this court said, that should be argued and dealt with when we're picking the jury and not months and months before that.
I will say that I would not be surprised to see a significant number of people in our potential jury when we bring them up that have a negative view or have been exposed to this case, and it will likely take much longer to pick this jury than a typical similar case. So I recognize that challenge, and if we have to bring in 500 people or 1,000 people and it takes weeks and weeks and weeks, that's what we'll do. But we will strike those people that we need to strike.
Judge, if I could have 30 seconds to wrap this up.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Just to be clear, Judge, the argument here is by allowing this continued coverage unfettered, it's further tainting the jury pool. I think sometimes it's characterized that I'm making a different argument. I understand this is a big county, but that said, Judge, as you just noted, there's going to be good prediction. There's going to be significant issues with this jury selection. And I just think that the court and the state, I may be misreading, but should not be as supportive of the media coverage, and there should at least be some attempt to mitigate the damage. What will happen with that attempt? It will have a positive effect. How much? We don't know, but just kind of do nothing. The snowball just keeps rolling and rolling, and by the time we get to trial, it's going to be bigger than it already is. Put away.
Well, I don't support the media coverage. And if I thought I had a legal basis to exclude the cameras, an adequate legal basis to exclude the cameras, I would. Frankly, I personally don't like the cameras in here, right? But based on the case law, absent really extraordinary circumstances, I think I have to have them in here. And I know you'll argue these are extraordinary circumstances. But I think I've ruled in accordance with the law. Can we move on to why the other reason we're here, the complex case management conference? I have received the complex case joint case management report. Mr. Bradley, it seems to indicate you think you're, at this point anyway, on track for a trial date.
I certainly wouldn't say I'm not. I've got still quite a bit to do, but I've been making great progress, and it seems possible. Yes, that's my goal for sure. Okay. I have no reason to want to prolong this particular trial.
Any discovery issues you need assistance with or you need to bring to my attention?
Not really, Judge. There was a legal issue that was pretty important, and I did ask the state about it, and they did provide an answer. So I appreciate that. But no, not at this time. A part of the problem is, Your Honor, there's over 100,000 pages here. There are times when I find something deep into it that, like, for example, I'd asked for the immunity agreements for various people, and just the other day I saw it wasn't signed and it wasn't everyone's, but it wasn't something I realized I was there until I'm tens of thousands of pages into it. So just putting that out there.
Okay.
Just for the record, Jordan, those are immunity agreements given by Idaho, not by the state of Arizona.
And Judge, I could be wrong, but I thought, and again, it wasn't signed, but I thought the Maricopa County Attorney's Office was involved in at least one of the immunity agreements, but I guess we can talk about that another time.
Your answer is no, that the county attorney's office.
We have not provided immunity to any.
All right, so another complex case management conference in about 60 days would put us in early November with a trial date in February. So I would assume at that time, you'd probably have more idea how viable that trial date is.
I would definitely agree with that. I was thinking maybe 45 days, but I can work with 60.
45, 60, whatever you want.
45 would be good.
All right. Drea, do we have something on October 18th for an hour?
It's blocked for training.
The 25th is JED, right?
Yes.
What about how about 1:30 on the 26th? That's a Thursday. Wait, no, it's not. The 24th, sorry. I was looking at September. 24th of October.
All we have were 8:30s.
Well, we set it for 1:30 on October 24th. Does that work for everyone?
That was for the state.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, block it for an hour. Might your client appearance wait for that?
Yes, Judge. We would ask that our client's appearance be waived for that hearing.
All right, that's granted. Anything else from the state,
No, Your Honor.
from the defense?
Two things, Judge, short ones. Would the court grant our motion to seal the most recently filed objection?
Yes.
Thank you. Second one is just a clarification. Since the last hearing, an attorney from Maricopa County Sheriff's Office filed a motion on the street close motion, and then I did file a reply. I was a little unsure if that was still in play. Anyways, my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that the court is ordering that if Ms. Vallow appears in court, she will have to wear her jail attire.
Correct. Other than jury selection and trial. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
Be at recess.
Well, okay then. And there you have it. That was, oh, hang on. My volume's off. Okay.
If your sound is maxed out, turn it down now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot. We were supposed to remind everybody. Wow. Well, if that is any indication of oh no, I just, I'm having this kind of day. If that's any indication of what trial's going to be like with that defense attorney, that judge
Yeah.
bullshit already.
Yeah, this was interesting.
Yeah. Very.
I think he's kind of somewhere between Little Marky Means and John Pryor in the whining level,
Yeah.
the disrespect to the judge level. Holy.
Right. Well, and the thing is, they've already argued cameras in the courtroom a couple of times, and the judge has ruled. And it's just like this defense attorney doesn't like the answer, so he's going to just keep coming back and pushing the judge. But the bottom line is, legally, the judge can't keep the cameras out of the courtroom. Right. He doesn't like it either. Too bad on him. But you can't. He knows you can't. It's not legal. And the pearl clutching was something else at the beginning, because so apparently they had a hearing of some sort that they had some victims. So Brandon Boudreaux, Kay Woodcock, and Susan Vallow were on Teams, and one of them screen recorded the hearing, and then it got out to the media.
Yeah.
And that defense attorney was freaking out over that.
Well, he wanted the judge to go kick somebody's ass for that.
And the judge is like, whose ass am I supposed to kick?
Right. Well, he wanted him to go after Justin Lum and Fox News 13. But the problem with that is what he's really asking is for him to compel Justin Lum to share his sources. And good fucking luck with that.
Yeah, he will not be doing that. I do still have my pearls, Heather, and very glad I did. I'm going to be reading them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the dude is not winning any points with the judge. Bitching about this again after the judge has made his ruling that legally he cannot keep the cameras out of the courtroom.
Yeah.
That was
and that incident of something being shared from that Teams is inconsequential. The judge was like, sorry, I don't like it, but there's nothing I can do about it.
Right. But, there really isn't,
yeah. Right. You leave our Justin alone. Yeah.
And they don't know. They don't know who did the recording. They think it was probably one of the family members. And then that family member released it to Justin. Yeah. Well, like the judge said, there is such a thing as free speech. And there is.
Yep, for sure. That, my favorite not mic drop, but my favorite moment in this hearing may have been, okay, Judge, that's all I have. Unless you have any other questions for me.
Yeah.
The judge
just sort of stares at him.
Stared at him totally deadpan. Motherfucker, really? Whose courtroom do you think you're in? You aren't the judge. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Also, that little comment about, this isn't a high-profile case. I've done high-profile cases. If that's true, where are they? Because I have spent a substantial amount of time on the internet trying to learn anything about you as an attorney, and it is not there.
No.
I can't even find a picture of him on the internet, let alone his CV, anything. He's not on LinkedIn, nothing.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't want anything. He's mad about the problem with the Teams thing is that the Teams stream had everybody's name on it. And so it released the names of who were present. The vast majority of whom are public record. Yeah. So, and then some names we're all very familiar with. Kay Woodcock, Brandon Boudreaux, Susan Vallow.
Yeah. Yeah, when the judge said, what constitutional rights being violated?
Right. There is no constitutional right being violated.
No.
And the defense attorney kept saying that it tainted the jury.
Yeah.
And the judge was like, it tainted the jury pool, maybe, but probably not.
Right. But
not the jury. We don't have a jury yet.
Yeah. Yeah, the judge saying if you Google it. Well, and also that part where he's like, well, I'm not reading about this in the press. It just keeps coming up on my phone. I just keep seeing it. And the judge is like, oh, probably because you're searching for it.
Yeah, that's so funny.
That was so shady.
Yeah, the judge was awesome and shady and not putting up with this shit. But what a
Mhm.
waste of the court's time
Yeah.
after they've already ruled on cameras in the courtroom. And he had said that he's not sure that he's going to allow cameras during voir dire, that he may
Sure.
not. And they don't always allow cameras during
Mhm.
voir dire. You know, because you got to protect the jurors, and I think that's
Of
fine.
course. Of
But
course.
you know, I loved
Mhm.
also the part about comparing the population of Maricopa County to Ada County.
Yes.
3.4 million people, guys.
Mhm.
That's or 4.3
Yeah.
to the what they said 250,000 of Ada. I think Ada is more like 300,000, but
But still.
anyway, like if Idaho could do that, then certainly
Absolutely, Maricopa can. I
Maricopa
love that the
can.
prosecutor brought that up and is like,
Yeah.
we're not going to struggle. We aren't. But
No.
yes, stay mad that this case has that much media coverage. I mean, you do something especially heinous, you're going to get
Yeah.
a lot of media coverage. Like,
Yeah. You've already been convicted of first-degree murder of 3 people.
Yeah.
Sucks to suck, man.
indeed it does. I was not expecting all of that this morning. That was really.
Oh, 250,000 potential jurors need it. Right.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. Justin Lum was live tweeting this, and I have to say, I really loved. He said, "Defense wants to know when Fox 10 made the request. It was 2:25 p.m. on Tuesday." Thank you, Justin. And in case you don't know, Justin Lum at Fox News 10. I said 13 earlier. I apologize for that. Fox News 10 is the Arizona leg of Nate Eaton. He has been fantastic. He's been on this case from the very beginning.
He
He's
was on this case before Nate Eaton was on
before
this
Nate
case.
Eaton was on it. Yep. And he's been wonderful. We
We're
adore
big
Justin.
Justin
We've
fans.
met him a couple of times. Yeah, we did an interview with him a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
He is cool as hell, and he deserves all the props. So if you're not following him for the Arizona side of the Lori Vallow stuff, you should be. He's
Yes,
awesome.
definitely. He is excellent, and he's just an
Mhm.
excellent reporter in general.
Yeah.
He did a 1-hour documentary on the Lori Vallow trial,
Uh-huh.
or on the Lori Vallow case that is really good. You can find it on his Twitter and I think
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
But he also does a lot of exposés in Arizona on other criminal cases, on
Really good stuff.
institutions, things like that. He was a good part of busting an institution recently that was, I believe, supposed to be a rehab that was defrauding the hell out of the state and doing a
Yeah.
whole bunch of sketchy and illegal things. Anyway, we're big Justin fans. He's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of a Jeff Garriman. He's an investigative
Yeah.
journalist, and yeah, he's busted all kinds of stuff
Mhm.
in Phoenix. Besides, this case, and I'm
Yeah.
so glad that he's there.
Mhm.
He's going to be present for all of this.
Yeah.
He is a very good reporter.
Mhm. He is. He's excellent. Yep.
Yeah.
In this case, in Lori's case, people have sung Nate's praises high and low, and he deserves them. But Justin kind of got lost in the shuffle of that, and I've always hated that because he deserves to have a seat at the table.
He definitely does. Definitely does. Well,
Yeah.
Katie, you'll be happy to know we've had comments all over the place
Yeah.
that the beep is gone.
The beep is gone. I saw one
Yes.
person said that now I'm muffled. I don't know what to say about that.
You are a little bit. I still am not convinced you're coming through your headset. You sound different.
I don't know. We'll keep working on it.
We will.
Yeah.
But at least now the beep is
the
gone.
beep is gone. Thank God. Yes.
It's that beeping computer.
It is. I'm baffled.
Or is it binging? Is your computer binging?
It was binging. It was binging the whole time. That's why we can't figure it out.
Yeah.
It was a bing. Jeepers. Yeah.
That's really funny. Well, that's what we have for you. Thanks for hopping in here quick with us. They scheduled again for October 24th at 1:30 p.m. Pacific. So we will be live for that as well. We do really like to keep up on this. And yeah, Katie, there's a little echo. That's why I wonder what's going on with your headset. But
Okay, we'll work on that.
Yeah. But we will we'll be back with that hearing, and we'll just keep on covering this. That's certainly a trial you're going to see us cover from beginning to end. I was very impressed, although, with the defense that they did not bitch about needing more time again.
Right?
He said, "That's my goal, and I think I can do it to be
Uh-huh.
ready for trial in February of 2025." So that's not that far away.
No, it's not. Good. And then they can move on to Charles.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. All righty. Well, you know us. We're going to be back on Monday with lots more stuff. Be sure to join us over on Discord. Join us on Patreon. Uh, everywhere else that we're doing stuff. TikTok. We have a TikTok that's kind of doing pretty well right now, and we have lots going on, and we have some exciting news coming for
We
you
do.
also.
For some of you. Some of you will like it, some of you may not, but that's okay.
Some of you may not, but yeah, some of you are going to be thrilled because it's something that you've been asking us for a while, and we are about to provide. So
Yep.
Watch for that announcement on Monday on our live. And have an awesome weekend. Take good care of yourselves. Get lots of laughs. If you like it, go see the new Beetlejuice movie. I'm going to. I can't wait.
So it sounds like our theater immediately sold out of the buckets.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
So don't expect to be getting a bucket because you won't.
Well, that's okay. I just want to see the movie.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, you know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.